Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel Talk British. Big thank you to all existing and new subscribers, and we hope that you've been enjoying the journey so far and will continue to stay with us as we progress. Today we're focusing on word stress and presentation structure. As I say, don't get too worried about the wordiness of this. This will help you understand a little bit more. Presentation structure is not necessarily a business presentation, although it will obviously incorporate that. It could also just be you telling a story. So don't panic too much. So let's focus today on getting the stress right. And we're not talking about getting yourself out of a stressful situation here. We're talking about word stress. Emphasis on one syllable of a word changes its meaning. I'll give you some examples and then we will proceed from there and explain a few things. So first of all is present. Present. I've given somebody a present. It's a noun. Or present. I presented that person with an award. Do you notice the emphasis on the noun is in the beginning and the emphasis on the verb is at the last syllable? That's the rule of thumb. Okay, so it's a good rule to remember. If you're using the word as a noun, it will be emphasis on the first syllable. If you're using it as a verb, it's generally on the last syllable. Another example is conduct. So conduct. What is conduct? His conduct at work was not very good. Her conduct at work was not very good at all. Or conduct. I will conduct the orchestra. A verb. You're actually a verb. You're actually doing something with the word. So emphasis, as you can see here, can mean completely different things. So there's quite good lessons. I have some other little examples for you. Object, or permit or permit. Refuse or refuse. Address or address. Content or content. So you see the emphasis is the noun, the first syllable. The verb is the second syllable. And you can see these all mean different things. And what I would suggest you do, if you're not sure about the meanings of the differences, then have a quick look those words up. So what I'm trying to do in my teaching style here is to give you some kind of rules, if you like, or structure about how things are put together. Then I would encourage you to do a little bit of your own work, because the more you do for yourself, the more understanding you gain. And therefore your ability to learn the language faster is giving you, is there by, I'm supposed to be teaching English and I can't say what I'm trying to say. This will enable you to learn faster if you do a bit of your own work. But I wanted you to understand the stress in the law, or the word, the law of the stress being the first stressful syllable on the first side is a noun, and the stress syllable on the second syllable is a verb. I'm getting very, very tongue twisted here, but I'm not going to edit this, guys, because I really want you to see me in real life. I'm not, when I teach students one-to-one, this is how I present myself. So there's no point me trying to make the perfect video and you guys say, oh, okay, he's quite different in real life. This is how I teach students one-to-one. So I hope this is helpful to you. I get excited about the English language and I sort of lose myself a little bit. So let's get some little sentence ideas. So I object to that. Okay, you see the act. I object to that. Or the object is on the table. A noun. You see, I object. I do not like what you're saying. Or there is an item on the table, the object. So you can work around little sentences yourselves to make the different meanings. So sentences you could read aloud, and I would do this. Again, I've encouraged on previous videos to record yourself doing this. And I still encourage you to either record yourself and listen to yourself so you can see the emphasis you're putting on a word, or stop the video and read it out aloud, just as a bit of practice for yourself. I present the award, emphasis on the end. The present was lovely. We conduct research. You see the emphasis in the words. I'll read them all once again. I present the award. The present was lovely. We conduct research. So hear my emphasis, repeat those, and then record them for yourself. We'll now move on to structuring a presentation with what we call PSRI. And I will go through each of the meanings of these and perhaps bring it together to make a little bit of sense at the end of what I'm trying to say to you guys. So PSRI explained, here we go, you see, dyslexic as well. So the P, the problem, what is the issue? Now, let's put it in context of a business situation. Okay, so what is the problem? Why am I making this presentation? I am trying to address a problem. So identify before your presentation or the structure of your presentation, what is the issue? What is the issue that I am trying to present? Then the solution aspect. I identified the problem. How do I fix it? Now, I'm trying to give you guys information if you're doing a presentation to be engaging and to make people want to stay and listen to you instead of these monologues like maybe I'm doing now that become a little bit boring. And oh, what's the point? If you have a structure, the problem, what the issue is, the solution, how to fix it, the result. So if you fix it or if you implement this plan, what would happen? So the R is the result, and then the impact. Why does this matter? Now, if you put this together as a presentation structure when you're preparing any presentation, you will be very engaging because not only are you identifying a problem, you're showing them there's a solution. So now they're interested. Okay, there's a solution. What's the result of that solution, and why does it matter to us? So if you work on these little skills of presentation structure when you're working on your English presentations, you can do this in a conversation, a general conversation. You know, I want to talk to you about this situation that I've thought about how we could fix this problem for you. And if you did that, that's what would happen. And you know what, that would make you feel a lot better. So you can still apply this to normal everyday conversations, not a conversation sitting at the bus stop, but when you've really thought about something you want to talk to somebody or a friend of yours about, think about it in this little structure. So as an example, let's pretend we're all working at a local government department and we have a problem. We have a traffic problem. Well, how do we solve the problem? Well, obviously we look at public transport. That could be something. So in your presentation, you identified the problem by saying, I realize, ladies and gentlemen, that today in this city, we have a major traffic problem. But we've come up with a great idea. If we introduced additional public transport to the city, we would there create faster commutes. People will not be stuck in traffic. They'll get to where they want to go. And what does that result in? Well, that results in less stress and cleaner air. So it all makes perfect sense. So there's your structure of presentation. So here's a little plan. As I say, as I go through these things, I want you to do things yourself. And sometimes I'll give you prompts like I'm giving you now. So here's a task. Plan a 3-minute talk on your own as to why learn English or reducing stress. But I want you to use the PSRI structure and put this together and see if you can understand the logic of how this makes sense. It becomes engaging because the person on the receiving end has a story that's going to come up with a result. It's not just a lot of talk about nothing. It has a focus. So for example, why you're wanting to learn English would result in an outcome of that you can now speak more fluently than you do now, and you could travel to countries that perhaps you couldn't have before. That would be the impact. And why does that matter? Because it opens your opportunities up. So this is how I want you to think about it. Write down a 3-minute talk. It's not long. A 3-minute little chit chat on why learn English or reducing stress or anything else that is important to you. It doesn't have to be. These are just prompts for you to think about. So what did we learn today? Okay, so we learned that word stress, emphasis changes meaning. Present or present. We learned that PSRI structure, the problem, solution, result, impact for presentations. So what I'd like you to do, and I always ask people when I'm doing one-to-one conversations, is reflect on what you found challenging today. Because it's important that if you find something challenging, that could identify a potential for you to improve, and just focus on the things that you felt were more challenging than others. Now, the self-help tips, as I call them, or the things to go away with that would benefit you would be this. Write 8 words with different stress patterns. Like record or use each in a sentence. Okay, so you could use some of the examples I gave you earlier. You can use those, of course you can. But I want you to use them in a sentence so you understand why the stress makes it sound different. One, remember, being a noun, and the other obviously being a verb. So if you do that, and read those back through to yourself and see why they make sense that way, and then reverse them. The same sentence, reverse your stress and see how the sentence no longer makes sense. I hope that's a helpful tip for you, but I would really recommend you do that. As I say, please use the video as a tool. That's what it's here for. Stop, rewind, go back, pick up on anything, and please take the time if you need or have any questions. Don't be too specific. I may not be able to answer every single thing, but if there's something you want me to do as a presentation, absolutely let me know. Also, do consider subscribing and sharing and telling people about the channel. And thanks so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you very soon.